Seats available up front if a few of you want to come up and sit down and fill in. But we are ready to go. We're excited today to be able to introduce to you officially the 12th head football coach in the history of the University of North Alabama program. Only 11 different individuals, of course, Bobby Wallace was here twice, but only 11 different individuals have led this football program in 74 years. I think that's a pretty amazing statistic. It tells you a lot about the success and stability of this program. But at this time, we'd like to introduce our athletic director, Dr. Josh Looney, and he's going to introduce you to our new head football coach. Following Dr. Looney's remarks, we'll have our head football coach come up and speak. He'll take questions from the media from the podium, and then once we're through with that, we'll allow the media to do one-on-one interviews, and then following that, he'll be available for the meet and greet, and there are some snacks available in the back after that. So thank you. Dr. Looney.
Well, thank you, Jeff, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm bringing a warm welcome from President Kitts, who regrets he cannot be here today. He is at a SACS review that is out of state, and this is our accreditation year, so it's one of the few meetings that he cannot miss. But President Kitts wanted to send his warm welcome to everyone. Thanks to you for coming out to help us welcome our new head football coach. And on behalf of all of our coaches here in athletics, it's just an absolute pleasure to work for a leader of this university who has led us to unprecedented places, over 10,000 students, the fastest growing university in the state, and one who has Division I athletic success at the top of that strategic plan as well. And I know we're all very appreciative for President Kitts and everything he brings here. So it's an exciting day for us, an exciting day. So exciting that, so exciting, I don't know if you know this. When we announced Brent yesterday or on Saturday, you as our next head football coach, Megan Dye told me it was the most engaged social media post in the history of UNA athletics, which is unbelievable. And it's exciting, we have Brent's family here, his wife, Amanda, a Boaz, Alabama native, and 3 children, Carter, Isabella, and Madden. That's you. But part of that engagement, I think, and we know that Brent comes from a football family here in the state of Alabama, right? His father has won 2 state championships as a high school coach. Brent's won 1. His brother just won his first on Friday at Saraland. But part of that social media engagement, it was unbelievable reception from Alabama State high school football coaches and assistant coaches, which speaks a lot. Before we get into our search process and all the things that brought Brent to us, I do want to recognize a few people who gave a ton of time and effort to this search. First, Dan Kinney, our search consultant. He's far in the back there. Dan, make sure you wave your hand. We consulted with Dan, and he has done a great job. And then 3 staff members who've been absolutely incredible with their time. I warned them ahead of this, and in coaching searches, I can be a bit of a madman and somewhat demanding, and this was no short of that. A lot of odd time meetings, a lot of Sundays, lots of nights, but Janae Lyde, who played here and loves this place, our assistant AD for internal operations and diversity, equity, inclusion. Thank you for everything you did for this. Anna Milwee comes from a football family here in the state of Alabama, and one that's tied to this university. Thank you, Anna Milwee, so much. And a former football player in the house as well, Peyton Haslam, our director of development, a former tight end at the University of Houston. Those 3 gave countless hours to this search, and just so appreciative for each of the 3 of you, and Dan, for you and all your help as well. So what led us to this day? I want to go through a bit of a timeline here and recap our search. So I contacted Dan with Coach for a Day, LLC, to assist with our search on October 30th, okay? And October 31st, I gave Dan 17 names that I wanted him to go after and screen. And Brent Dearman was on the top of that list of 17 names, way back on October 31st. Over the next 4 weeks, we built out an incredible pool of talented candidates, hundreds of inquiries of interest, hundreds of nominations. Ultimately, though, we settled in on 45 individuals that would be formally screened over 4 weeks. Every single one of them were formally screened by Dan Kinney, who had a lot of work ahead of him. 45 over a 20-some day period, that's over 2 a day. Pretty incredible task that we had. I would say almost all of these leaders were nominated by highly respected pillars in the world of college or professional football. So you say, okay, those 45 candidates that were qualified and came into this pool, well, who were they? right? You had former NFL head coaches and players. You had UNA alumni. You had former head football coaches in the FCS and FBS ranks. You had current sitting FCS head football coaches. HBCU current head football coaches. You had head coaches at the Division II level. You had coordinators at FCS institutions and coordinators at FBS schools in the SEC, the Big 12, Conference USA, the Sun Belt Conference, and the American Athletic Conference. That's what makes up those 45 names. And so then on November 19th, it was our final football game. We start narrowing our search through a systematic 6-step interview process. Brent finished his sixth and final step on Thursday. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And I would also tell you, no formal offer or decision took place till each one of those 6 steps were completed. So over the past week, we had 4 candidates emerge as leaders for our position for in-person meetings. And Brent, again, concluded his final steps on Thursday. We concluded our final process on Friday, gave Brent a call Friday night as our candidate of choice, and the deal was done on Saturday. But I would tell you, what were we looking for through this search? We never wavered from the start on October 30th all the way to now. We wanted to have a head coach who demonstrated success as a head coach previously. We wanted a head coach who possessed Division I experience as a play caller in the past. We wanted someone who commanded the ability to communicate effectively with our student athletes, with our university, with our community. We wanted somebody who had proven results in recruiting, some OKGs, our kind of guys around here. Do they have proven results with that group? Someone who's motivated to build something in a historic place and go against the status quo and to be an enemy of that status quo. And then finally, someone who's regarded as innovative amongst their peers. Brent has authored a book on RPO, which really launched his career at one point. I'm sure you sold a few extra copies this weekend with this search. So Brent was not only the top of our October 31st list, but he exceeded all expectations we had in this search. So yesterday I was scrolling on my phone, and I looked, and my first text to Brent was on November 1st. So we've been recruiting you for well over a month to be here. But the relationship that we have actually goes back to when I was at Missouri Western as AD, right? At Missouri Western, we have a few in the room, we call it Mo West Blessed, and this was truly blessed. So in 2017, our offensive coordinator had taken a Division II head coaching job. And so I got with our head football coach, and we said, what's our goal here? And I said, well, let's find and hire the best sitting Division II offensive coordinator in college football. And Brent Dearman was the top of that list at that time. Brent interviews at Missouri Western. Probably would have gotten that job, but took a head coaching job at his alma mater at Bethel, at NAI. So he gets a head coaching opportunity, flips them 3-7 to 10-1. So 12 months later, the football coach at Missouri Western and I are talking. He say, do you remember Brent Dearman that we talked to 12 months ago? Les Miles just brought him on a staff at Kansas. I said, oh, that's pretty cool. Let's keep following this guy. And then about 6 games in that season, hey, remember Brent Dearman at Arkansas Tech that we interviewed? Yeah, he just got promoted to the offensive coordinator at Kansas 6 games into that. And he's had a heck of a career since, and we're excited and thrilled that you're here today. So what I tell you, what do we look for? Demonstrated success as a head coach. He's flipped a program at his alma mater at Bethel. Possessed Division I experience as a play caller. He's play called at the Power 5 level in 2 Group of 5 schools. Commanded the ability to communicate effectively with student athletes at the university and the community. A lot of reference checks have confirmed that, and I think the head coaches and assistant coaches in the state of Alabama and the high school confirm that as well. Proven results in recruiting, OKGs. You've been all over the state. You've recruited some current guys on our own football team. Motivated to build something and be the enemy of the status quo. Absolutely. He wouldn't be sitting here if that wasn't motivation for him. And regarded as innovative amongst his peers, no doubt. So it's with my pleasure to announce the 12th head football coach at the University of North Alabama, Brent Dearman. We're going to do a picture with that, all right? Here we go. I got some for you. Step up front. I got some hats for you guys. out of the way.
Had to get my notes out that I've typed on my phone over the last couple of days through the plane process for to and back a couple times. I'm honored to be the head coach at the University of North Alabama. This is probably the most exciting time in my coaching career, just to be honest with you, of having the opportunity to come back to the state and coach at such a prestigious, tradition-rich football program. Really excites me and my family. My wife is probably even more excited. I have moved my wife 9 times in our 12 years of marriage. Think about that math, all right? So bringing my family to the Shoals community and planting roots in the ground and raising our kids here was a big, important part of this process, just to be honest with you. I appreciate my wife for all that I've put her through, the sacrifice that my wife and kids have made to allow me to do what I've been called and what I love to do. From going back to scratching and clawing in the D2 ranks, NAIA ranks, of trying to make a name for myself. Sometimes my wife and kids don't get the credit that they deserve for all the support and help that they give behind the scenes. Next thing, I want to thank Dr. Kitts, Dr. Looney, and UNA for giving me a great opportunity. When I came in, I could see the vision that they had, to see the excitement every time I had a conversation with Dr. Looney, Dr. Kitts, for the vision of the program and where it was headed. We are excited to lead such a decorated program into a new era of football, into this new stage, and it's a new day here in Florence, Alabama. So when I look back on this, when I talked to Josh, when I talked to Janae, when I talked to Anna and Peyton through this process, when I talked to Dan Kenny back there in the back throughout this process, one thing I kept going back to doing this whole thing is why UNA? And why UNA is something that I'm going to use to find a staff, something I'm going to use to find recruits. And the 3 things that stood out to me of why UNA was, number 1, the rich tradition. You know, the 3 national championships, the multiple playoff appearances, the multiple NFL players just moved on from here, the coaching tree that's come out of here, the rich tradition of football that's in Florence, Alabama at UNA is one of the top things. You know, I was able to work under a guy that a lot of people in this room know, named Raymond Monica at Arkansas Tech, and Raymond would teach me. I see some people giving me some looks in the back now that I said that. But from my 3 years of being at Arkansas Tech, I probably got a UNA story about every day from Raymond. And I know so much about the place before I even got here through Coach Monica. The next thing is the Florence area, the Shoals area. You heard me allude to it already. The fact of being able to raise my children here was a big-time deal to me, of knowing this is such a great place. My son, Carter, absolutely loves fishing as well. So I would, when I showed him the place and I showed him the river, he was really excited about the possibilities that he's going to have in the Florence area as well. So now, I would say duck hunting, but Steve Pierce has already let me know that he's not a big fan of duck hunters. So I said, well, I don't need to duck hunt here then. We'll deer hunt more then, I guess. But we are going to pour back into this community as well. This is not going to be a situation where we're just going to come and us just take, we're going to pour into this community. Our family, our players, our staff, pouring back into the Shoals area. And then the next thing that I figured out quickly here is the great people that this place has. I think great people create great people. And from my conversations with Josh, from my conversations with Anna, with Peyton through this process, with Janae, with conversations through board members. I got to have dinner with Steve Pierce, and if you get an opportunity, that's a memorable experience, is being able to sit down with Steve. But had a great time and the people that are at this place is what separates this place, in my opinion, of separating themselves from other universities. You know, our staff will constantly remind our players of the rich tradition that former players and coaches have built here at UNA. I want to make sure that everybody in the room understands that just because news coming in, we're not going to forget about the great tradition here. We're not going to forget about the championships. We're not going to forget about the playoff appearances and the alumni. Those people are still going to be a big influence and big part of our program around here. How we build this place, kind of our characteristics, what I want you guys as fans and supporters to see when you come to our games on Saturday is big 5 pillars that I've used the last couple years. Number 1 being toughness. I want to have a group of tough men, and I think that it's a calling nowadays to be a tough man. I think we live in a society that wants to take toughness out of our men sometimes, and I think it's a big deal to teach our young men what it means to be tough, not just on the field but also off the field. I want you to see a group of men that have grit, a group of men that fight together and that battle together. So number 1 being toughness is what I want you to see out of us. The second thing is tempo. We're going to play fast. We're a hurry-up, no-huddle offense. Your recent golf coach, Luke, and I spent a couple years at Arkansas Tech together, and he got to see kind of the hurry-up, fast-paced offense that we like to run. We're going to train that way. We're going to live that way. We're going to live life in the fast lane and teach our kids what it means to play fast. Number 3, we want to teach our guys what finish means. And it's not just finishing on the field. We want to teach our guys what to do to finish class. We want to finish assignment. We want to finish in the red zone. We want to finish on 3rd down. And not just finish, not just cross the line, but we want to be relentless with our effort at finishing a task that we start. Number 4, on both sides of the ball, one way or the other, we're going to be explosive. I think the game nowadays is not like it used to be. It's not a 3 yards and cloud of dust type game. You get rear ends in the seats by scoring points. You get rear ends in the seats by moving the ball at exponential paces down the field, big gains. Everybody loves the big gain, and we're going to stress the big gain, the explosive play. And then defensively, we've got to stop the explosive play. We've got to make teams earn it all the way down the field. So either creating explosives or stopping explosives on the defensive side of the ball. And then last, we want to teach our guys what it means to have a confidence or a swagger about themselves. I think swagger sometimes gets a bad rap. I think some of us think swagger is a bad thing. I think cockiness is a bad thing. Swagger is when you have confidence in your ability and then you go out and you perform that task to the best of your ability. Then you create a confidence level or a swagger to yourself, and you walk around with your head held high and your chest poked out a little bit because you know you did the best that you can. And that's what we want to create here. Offensively, I've already talked about it a little bit. We're going to be a hurry-up, no-huddle offense. Our job is to score points, as many as we possibly can. Somebody asked me yesterday what I thought. I said, we want to score 1 more point than the team we're playing against. That's what I think, all right? Defensively, we're going to be multiple to try to confuse coaches and QBs, to try to give different looks. So you're going to see guys roaming around all over the place. And I know this, looking back at UNA, every time UNA has been a championship caliber team, they had a really, really suffocating defense. And me as an offensive coach, I got to swallow my pride and understand that defense wins championships. Offense gets rear ends in the seats, but defense wins championships. So we got to get it back to that suffocating defense. Over the next week, I'm going to assemble a staff that will teach our men not only the fundamentals of football, but how to be great men, fathers, and husbands. I think that's important for our young men nowadays. We will build a staff of coaches who will teach sound teaching on the field, but also be passionate about their players. We will not focus on things that are out of our control, but instead focus on the things that make this place a special place to be. In recruiting, something that I know I can probably go ahead and address that some want to talk about. In recruiting, we will find the needs that we need to in the junior college or portal ranks as of now, but this program will be built around the foundation of high school football players. And when this place has been great through the years, it was built around a foundation of high school football talent that got developed here. So we're going to keep talented players at home. As a former Alabama high school coach myself in the Mobile area, you heard earlier my dad was a 42-year high school football coach, and my brother is currently an assistant coach at Saraland High School, so I understand the value of a high school coach. And we're going to have a phenomenal relationship with our high school coaches in this state, and we're going to recruit the high schools in this state. We're going to teach our players how to be ambassadors to North Alabama. Everywhere you go, you wear the logo. If it's Walmart, if it's the local store, if it's hanging out in your community, everywhere you go, you wear the logo. And we will be ambassadors to the university and also to the football program at all times. Our players will make you proud, both on the field and off the field. We're going to use our influence in a positive way every day. Once again, it's a new day in Florence, Alabama. I'll open it up for any questions you guys may have.
Hey, Coach, welcome to North Alabama. Call Fragan with WAFF TV in Huntsville. I wanted to ask, with your amazing track record with high school athletics throughout this state, how important is it for you, as you mentioned, to make sure that you tap into every corner of this state as your team recruiting and continue to develop this program?
I think it's huge. I think, number one, the North Alabama area has got to be the most important. You got to take care of home. So recruiting this area, recruiting an hour radius area has got to be the top thing. But I think when I'm looking at staff, you've got to find staff that are heavily tied into the different areas of this state. We all in this room understand that high school football in the state of Alabama it falls right underneath Sunday morning church. And we're going to recruit high school football players in the state. We're going to make high school coaches understand that they're welcome here at any time, whether it be us hosting a clinic, with us going out and spending time with these guys, whatever we've got to do to make sure the coaches and the players in this state understand that there's a home here.
Coach, this is just your second college head coaching opportunity. What does it mean to you to have the opportunity like this, as you mentioned, in a program that's as prestigious as it is?
This is big for me and my family. But I tell you something that you don't get enough credit for. And I go back to the question that was just asked. You wear more hats as a high school football coach than any other. And at 26 years old, I'm the head coach at BC Rain High School in Mobile, Alabama. It was probably the toughest job I've ever taken in my life. To take a program that was seeking wins, that didn't have any wins, and when you're scrubbing the floor, when you're painting fields, when you're cutting grass on Sunday, when you're doing the plate sale and car wash sales, I think every step along my path, the Lord's prepared me for the next one. So I go back to the year at Bethel, prepared me for this. The last couple of years at Kansas, at Middle Tennessee, at FAU, has all prepared me for this moment. So we're really excited about the opportunity, though.
Coach, you talked a lot about, what you're going to bring to the field and everything like that, but for UNA fans, for Lions fans, what do you want them to know about their new head coach? What's something that maybe they might not see of you on the field? What's something that you want them to know about you as a person?
I think I was asked a question like this the other day. Something a lot of people don't understand about me is I'm a math major. I spent 5 years teaching high school math, and I didn't get a math for education degree. I got a math degree that I had to take Calc 4, and it about whipped my behind. But as a play caller, I guess I use the statistics a lot of times as a play caller. I use the percentages, and I use my math degree more probably as a coach than I did in any other aspect of my life, to be honest with you. So the heavy math ties.
Right over here. Simon Williams with WZDX 554 in Huntsville. What's your approach to player retention now as a head coach here at the FCS level? You're in an interesting position, straddled between Division II, Division III, NAI, and Division I FBS ranks. With player retention, it's got to be a focus. So, what's your approach now?
My number one task, if you had to lay out your 48-hour goals, your first week plan, your first month plan, the first plan I had coming here was recruiting the players that we've got on campus. It's not going out. It's not going out to the transfer portal world. It was holding a meeting with key players today, holding a team meeting today. I think you've got to recruit your own more than you ever have in college football. It's something that high school coaches have been doing for a long time, though, because as a high school coach, you can get kids plucked at any time. So you've got to have a great relationship with your current players. They've got to feel loved. I think the more honest you are with players also keeps them around. They may not like what you've got to say, But if you're not trying to sell them a dream that's never going to happen, I think you have a reality with your players. So you've got to recruit your own guys a little bit more than you ever have before, but I think it comes out of that coaching with love kind of mindset.
And what's the feedback been from the players?
Had a great conversation with a lot of our guys today. I was able to have some individual meetings. I had some meetings with some of the leaders of the team as a whole, but then we had the team meeting today as well. So unfortunately, with finals week this week, I'm probably not going to see most of these guys for another 3 or 4 weeks before they get back in town, but had really good talks and meetings with those guys today.
If everyone want to go ahead and take advantage of the drinks and snacks in the back, we're going to allow the media a few minutes to get some one-on-one interviews, and then Coach will be available for a meet and greet. So thank you for coming.